because I had a brand new baby this past year, right? She's 1 year old now. And I wanted to share this all with you because even if you don't have a baby, even if you don't have a business, this is a really great strategy for like, I don't want to plan today. Planning is not happening, but I also don't want to totally fly blind. I want today to be meaningful, to be maybe productive in some way, shape, or form, but I don't want like a granular calendar block to-do listy kind of way to approach the day. So this is a super fast, super meaningful way to both figure out what you need to do in a day, but also to get a little bit more centered, get a really good idea of who you need to be that day and not just where you need to be or what you need to do. Welcome back to the Emerald Office. Today I want to talk about a sort of strategy I developed specifically over the past year for days that were really overwhelming or even weeks and months that were overwhelming because I had a brand new baby this past year, right? She's 1 year old now. And I wanted to share this all with you because even if you don't have a baby, even if you don't have a business, this is a really great strategy for like, I don't want to plan today. Planning is not happening, but I also don't want to totally fly blind. I want today to be meaningful, to be maybe productive in some way, shape, or form, but I don't want like a granular calendar block to-do listy kind of way to approach the day. So this is a super fast, super meaningful way to both figure out what you need to do in a day, but also to get a little bit more centered, get a really good idea of who you need to be that day and not just where you need to be or what you need to do. So I'm calling this the show up method, and I'm sharing it with you because I know, and specifically I know that a couple of my clients in the membership really could use this right now as a way to get through like a crazy time. When my daughter was in like the newborn phase, I was having this like existential crisis about the realization that I could no longer do my like legal pad list of things to do every day. I was only able to do like 3 things, and those 3 tasks each could not be longer than like 15 to 45 minutes. Like there was no more like big swaths of time for me to do like a big project. I had to figure out how to get things done. Sorry, the lighting's crazy. I had to figure out how to do things in a world where my time was super fragmented and there was less of it. So this is the method that I developed. It's kind of like a morning journaling thing, which those of you that have been here a while, you know I love like morning journaling, and I do like a long journal in the morning when I have the time, which to be entirely honest, basically hasn't happened for like the first year of my daughter's life. Now that we're in like month 13, 14 here, I have that time again. She gets up after me now. Instead of waking me up at the crack of dawn, I get up when I want to get up, have some time to myself, and then can start my day with her. I'll do a vlog about that eventually. But even when I didn't have that time, which was most of last year, this was something that I could do even if it was just like while I was eating breakfast with her or standing up at the kitchen counter, even like halfway through my day, if that's when I finally got around to kind of screwing my head on straight. So it's super low input for really high impact. It's going to give you a like what you need to do and how you need to do it, which is kind of the combination of like productivity and like intentionally designing the way you show up in the world. And that last sentence, the way you show up in the world, is the core of this method. I'm calling it the show up method because at its most basic, in a lot of the important things in our life, we just need to show up, right? We just need to show up for our kids. We just need to show up for our clients. We just need to show up and be who we are to do what we need to do, right? So based on that idea, you're just going to be categorizing where and how you need to show up today. Now, there's a separate thing, which is like where you literally need to show up, which is your appointments, which I still have a planner, even in the craziest. I mean, I have months that were blank in my planner in the past year, But for the most part, I always kept a planner because I was going to need to have some physical way to, or a calendar or your Google Calendar, physical way to see like where I needed to be at what times. That is separate. This is just going to be, maybe it's in your phone, maybe it's just jotted on a legal pad. I am going to make like a cute printable version of it, but you don't need the cute printable, you just need paper. And you're going to, the sort of pre-work for this is you need to figure out on a daily basis, who do you need to be showing up for? So in my world, I have to show up 4 places every day. I need to show up for myself. I need to show up for my family. I need to show up for my clients, and I need to show up for my market, for the people who need to hear my message so that they can know that I can help them with the real legitimate problem that they have. So every day I need to be showing up for those categories of people in some way, shape, or form. Yours might be different. Maybe you have more granularity about your family. Maybe you say, I need to show up for the baby this way, and I need to show up for the teenagers this way, or I need to show up for Tom and Sally and Harry, and here are what I need to show up for them for. Or you might have it separated into kids versus husband. You might have it separated into, work, family, side hustle. You might have it separated into spouse and parents, and maybe you show up for your dog. I don't know. The only real requirement is you must have you on the list. You need to be showing up for you every damn day. You're probably going to have to show up for your market or your clients if you are a business owner, like most of you are. But this does work even if you're not a business owner. So at minimum, you're probably going to have like 2. I would say most people have like 3 or 4, maybe 5 for some of you. And you're gonna, not everybody's gonna have to separate it into clients and market. Not everybody's going to separate their kids from their spouse, but you might, and that'll come down to how much goes under each. So that's like the pre-work. It's just figure out who or what do you need to be showing up for every day. Then you're just gonna write it out very, very simply. Let's see if I can get this to not overexpose. Ooh, oh no. Okay, so it's backwards for you, but that's okay. Show up for me, show up for my family, show up for my clients, show up for my market. So there's just a quick column where I'm jotting down the ways I need to show up or what I need to show up to do. So showing up for me today, that's today's that I showed you, is I need to work out. I'm scheduling to go to a movie with myself to see Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris. I'm scheduling, I want to read today, and I want to spend time doing real journaling, not just the like show up journaling. So those are the things I need to do in order to show up for me today. Oftentimes you can think of this as like self-care. It's not always going to feel like self-care. If you have seen my comprehensive theory of self-care, which I am planning on making some of that training publicly available, so I'll link it down below when it is out there. Otherwise, join Full Focus on the Full Focus app that has the whole theory of self-care up there. But often you're going to see those types of self-care that we talk about. So that's maintenance self-care, things like eating right, exercising, getting enough sleep. Restoration self-care, things like taking a bubble bath or taking a paint class. And investment self-care, things like coaching, training, growth. So you're going to see some things there. Like, for example, today, workout would be maintenance self-care. Reading would be investment self-care. I have a nonfiction book that I'm reading right now. I generally call fiction restoration and nonfiction investment. Journaling time is also a mixture of restoration and investment. And then scheduling to see Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris. That's pure restoration self-care. Good movie, popcorn situation. So self-care is going to be the show up for me category. And I'm doing that for every category. How am I showing up for my family today? I'm going to make dinner. I'm going to play outside with my daughter because it's glorious out. I'm going to help my husband with a project he's working on Excel. For my clients, I have some planning to do about our fall topics that we'll be covering in the membership, accessed through the Full Focus app. Go download it. And I have a couple of client check-ins that I need to do today. For my market, I am shooting this video so that you can be introduced to me perhaps or learn more about me. Those are things I need to do, ways I need to show up, right? These are action oriented. I need to show up for my family by making them dinner tonight. I need to show up for my market by posting on Instagram about what's going on in my world right now that they might be able to learn from. That's one column. As you're going through each category, you're also going to write a quick thing, and these are just, all of this is bullety, right? There's no narrative here. You could write a narrative if you really wanted to, but we're keeping this snappy. You're going to be showing up in these ways that we just listed, but I also want you to write next to it how you're going to show up. And that is who do I need to be in order to show up for my family? How do I want to show up as a person today, as a wife today, as a mother today, as a business owner today, as a coach today? How am I going to need to show up in order to be that person that I want to be? Because so often when we are overwhelmed, we stop thinking about this, right? The world is so focused on what we do and what we do and what we do. And yes, our actions do speak about who we are, but more so than focusing on doing, we are human beings, and we need to focus on the way that we want to be, the way that we want to move through the world. And so that's what this little teeny tiny exercise does. So how do I want to show up for me today? I want to show up centered and relaxed, prioritizing joyful time, prioritizing boundaries. That's who I want to be for me today. How do I want to show up for my family? I want to show up on top of things and really playfully, right? I have a bubble machine. That is my plans for the afternoon with my daughter. But I also want to be on top of things and get things done in time, finish this video before the nanny leaves so that I can be where I need to be for them. How am I showing up for my clients? How am I showing up for my market? These are quick values. These are quick adjectives. These are quick descriptions of who you want to be, how you want to be seen, how you want to move through the world. And I want them on the same page because let's be honest, where am I showing up? How am I showing up for me, for everybody? This is my to-do list, right? Play outside. I get to check that off later. Schedule a dentist appointment. I get to check that off later. And when I have that right next to who do I want to be? How do I want to show up? How do I want to move through the world today? It's top of mind throughout the day. So this method, like I said, is great for when you're overwhelmed. I actually have a pretty long list today, right? You might just have one thing. How am I showing up for me today? 20-minute hot shower with calming music in the background. How am I showing up for my family today? I am bringing home the bacon today. How am I showing up for my clients? I'm doing this one thing. Maybe it's just one thing, or maybe and there were times it was one thing in the newborn phase. One thing a day for each area of my life was all I could manage, but that will grow. And this is a really great way to simplify, to streamline. It's just a little bit of structure without hyper-structuring, because when we try to hyper-structure in an environment that won't allow structure, it's going to all fall apart. So we want just a little bit of perspective, just a little bit of, it is planning, just a little bit of planning. But that freedom to know, like, I don't have to schedule this out. This is just where I want to show up, or in what ways I want to show up and how I want to do that. So I hope this method helps you in rough times. I'm going to, like I said, make a little printable version of it. But to be honest, it's kind of nice to have it like this, because then you are going to be able to use, maybe you have 12 things you need to do for you and only one thing you need to do for your family. And that's fine. You have that space if you've written it out. The last thing I will say is that one of the really powerful things about using this method of planning is that it is identity commitment focused. This is something I've talked about a lot with clients. If you have the Full Focus app, which I've now said like 80 times, there's a training about commitments. I will link that down below. But an identity commitment is, those things that we have chosen for ourselves, that we have committed to so strongly in our lives that they become an identifier. So the really easy ones are parent, spouse, those are identity commitments, right? There are certain things that you do because you're a parent. There's no negotiation about if you're going to pick your kids up from school. I mean, there might be a who's going to pick them up, but there's no, like, you are going to pick them up. You're not just going to abandon them to the school district because you're a parent, right? I'm a mom. I'm not going to just not respond to my child falling down the stairs. Not that she's ever done that, but like, I am a wife, so I'm going to do certain things. I am a business owner. That is an identity level commitment for me. And that is going to translate to I show up for my business, right? I show up to pick up my kids because I'm a mom. I show up for myself because I value myself. We have identity commitments. And when we delineate our day like this, when we look at what I need to do in terms of what roles do I need to show up in and how do I want to show up in that role, we are linking ourselves back to those high level commitments that we've made. Because I am committed to being a person, so I show up for me. A person who shows up for themselves. I am committed to being a wife and a mother, so I show up for my family. I am committed to being a great coach, so I show up for my clients. I am committed to growing my business because I am committed to being a business owner, so I show up for my market. This is going to help you really connect to that commitment in a way that is constructive, both in terms of what do you need to do and who do you need to be today. I hope this has helped. I will link those things below and go be awesome.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Elizabeth Tolis. So subscribe for content about a sustainable lifestyle, life design, self-care, household, maybe a little bit of parenting, and primarily entrepreneurship. I'm inviting you to download the free Full Focus app. It is available on Apple or Google, and that is going to give you access to all of our free business content. It's going to give you a look at our membership program, and it's going to give you lots of different resources on how to build a business that supports the life you want to live, where you get to have the good and you get to have the great. Go ahead and give me and the Emerald Office a follow on Instagram. Find us online at www.theemeraldoffice.com. And I can't wait to see you again.